Hi, I'm Jason, the Curious Psychiatrist. I like to look at things through the lens of the human psyche, and last time I talked about space exploration. I talked about how Newton, Einstein, and a couple of other geniuses helped us understand the cosmos. And now that we knew how the heavens worked, it was time to make plans to actually go there. The basics were worked out by Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, the Russian rocket pioneer who you've probably never heard of. He calculated that a spaceship would need to travel at least 8 kilometers per second to stay in orbit, and he also proposed using liquid oxygen and hydrogen for fuels in 1903. He also designed rockets and figured out the fundamentals of leaving the solar system, and one thing he didn't actually do was actually make a rocket. That was done by an American called Robert Goddard. He's probably familiar to some of you, as he lived in the age of motion pictures, and you can see videos of his launches on YouTube. He didn't actually make the first rocket, as solid-fueled rockets had been around for centuries in the form of fireworks and military weapons. What he did was make the first workable liquid-fueled rockets and develop methods to control them. Now, then you might be wondering, what's so great about liquid-fueled rockets? There are two differences. One, liquid-fueled rockets are finely controllable while solid-fueled rockets aren't. And two, liquids are stronger. It's like comparing a gas stove to a campfire. On a gas stove, if you turn the gas up or down, the flame will immediately change. But think about how you'll do that to a campfire. And also, how are you going to turn the campfire off? If you light up a solid-fueled rocket, it'll burn until there's no more fuel left. We got the principles, we got the prototype. Now all we needed to do was make it big. And did we ever? These are the American and Soviet moon rockets, and the tiny humans in the corner are drawn to scale. You can see how big rockets had become. Goddard's first models were a little taller than him, but 40 years later, we were sending whole office buildings into space. To make them, a lot of people were needed, and I think the most notable were none other than Wernher von Braun and Sergei Korolev. You may be familiar with the former, but hearing the latter's name for the first time. Von Braun, of course, was the driving force behind the American space program in the 50s and 60s, and the chief architect of the Saturn rockets that ultimately took humans to the moon. Korolev was his Soviet counterpart, the mysterious chief designer. And if Stalin hadn't sent him to labor camps, or if Khrushchev hadn't worked him so hard, history might have changed. I'm not saying that the Soviet program was better or that they would have won. All I'm saying was that the race would have been much closer. Korolev's health deteriorated in the 1960s, and he died an untimely death in 1966, which had a huge impact on the Soviet space program. Anyway, as you all know, the Americans won the race and got to plant their flag on the moon. This was enormous. It was the giant leap of mankind, the first time we had set foot on another world. It was like Columbus had discovered America and Armstrong had discovered the moon. This had a profound impact on human thought. Before the moon landings, going to the moon was, in the world of science fiction, it was like riding a magic carpet or saying "Accio" and see your cup fly towards you. And then the whole world sees men on the moon, and fiction became real. This led to hyper-realistic works like The Martian, in which everything, all the details have been worked out, and all we need to do is build a Hermes and Hab, and we're all set to send humans to Mars. I've seen the movie and read the book, and if you haven't, I recommend watching the movie first and then reading the book for details. And I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. But that wasn't it. We could now go further in our imagination. We could imagine a galactic civil war in which humans and aliens fight together, or a farmer traveling through space, through wormholes, to find a new home for mankind, or a lowly human on Mars, rising up against a repressive regime centered on the moon, or an assassin traveling through multiple worlds in different bodies, or sleeves. By the way, if you haven't seen or read any of these stories, please do so because they are awesome. But while our thoughts traveled further and further, one picture, just one picture, had the opposite impact and helped us look at us as we are now. It's this. The first time we really left the Earth was in 1968 when Apollo 8 left Earth orbit for the moon. And while the astronauts swung around the moon, they saw, for the first time, Earth rise above the horizon from another world. And this is the photo they took. The photo didn't show national borders. It didn't show wars or religion or races. All we could see was a lonely spaceship, the Earth, traveling through space with all of us in it. There was no secondary Earth to draw resources from. There was no additional Earth to move to if things went wrong. For the first time, we could see that all we had was the Earth. And that was it. Undoubtedly, a question some of you will be asking is this: why go to space? Why go there at all? There are several logical reasons for this, such as the Earth might become uninhabitable, like as in Interstellar, unlimited resources like asteroid mining, unlimited living space like in Red Rising, to contact aliens or technological progress, because a lot of stuff has been invented or improved through space exploration, such as Velcro, cell phone cameras, home insulation, wireless headsets, infrared thermometers, water purifiers, lightweight vacuum cleaners. But I think the most important reason may also be the most impractical or perhaps illogical. Inspiration. Studies of space and our travels to it have inspired numerous people and widened our horizons. Of course, we need food to survive, but is that all we need for humanity to move forward as a whole? Shouldn't we need food for our bodies, but also food for our thoughts? Before I wrap up, I'd like to share a saying that is both very inspirational and also nicely sums up this talk. Ad astra per aspera. Godspeed, everyone. Godspeed.